In this deadly chase, Bourne seems like Seven's lost brother. He secretly texts Bourne that the Bollinger team will arrive in 2 minutes, then Bourne hangs up in a hurry. Seeing the Bollinger team storming upstairs, Bourne wisely chose to skedaddle. Even though this capture went belly up, the CIA quickly pinpointed Bourne's next move. Target London, to find the man who invited him to Tripwire. Dewey gave orders promptly. He ordered the hitman to be in London within 6 hours, but Heather piped up, had read Dr. Albert's psychological assessment on Bourne and figured Bourne was just desperately trying to find his patriotism remained strong. Heather believes Bourne should be recalled, not eliminated. A face-to-face talk would surely bring him back. Meanwhile, Thatcher stepped out and got hit with a subpoena from the Justice Department. He had literally told Dewey the day before he was out of the partnership. Zach thought Dewey's warning is obvious, so his secretary advised rethinking the agency partnership. Zach decided to fight back, instructing his secretary to retrieve all meeting records with Dewey and planned to expose everything at Vegas' annual tech conference if threatened. Little did he know, his own secretary was actually a plant from Dewey. That night, the secretary spilled the beans on Zach's plans. Upon receiving the news, Dewey called the hitmen, telling them to feign obedience to Heather while secretly pursuing their plan. The next day, Bourne reached the building opposite Old White's office and encountered numerous lookouts, like playing hide and seek. After surveying the area, Bourne dialed up his contact, agreeing to meet in 15 minutes at Paddington Square, and then he went into serious reconnaissance mode. Sure enough, he spotted a ton of agency lookouts, and Heather was already aware of the rendezvous spot, thinking, let the mystery game begin. After briefing Dewey, Heather handed over a standardized tracker to the freshly arrived hitmen. Per Heather's plan, 2 agent teams would tail Old White and capture Bourne upon his appearance. But the hitmen ignored Heather's orders, ditching the tracker immediately and carrying prepped headphones. They quickly got in touch with Dewey. While Bourne didn't head straight to the meeting spot instead, he stealthily slipped into the building's electrical room. At that moment, the agents followed Old White into a narrow alley, and not long after, the hitmen turned them into sushi boxes. Turns out, Dewey was also in touch with Old White in that alley. Unfortunately, he didn't foresee. Minutes later, another agent team was ambushed and targeted by the hitmen. Dewey was fuming, blaming Heather for everything, and claimed back the command device, leaving Heather quite flummoxed. Just then, Heather noticed the eerily still position of the hitman, finally realizing had been played by Dewey, and his expression morphed into one of cunning. So, he promptly directed his team to head to Paddington Square, while Old White had already arrived nearby. Even the hitman set up a sniper rifle up high, aiming a fatal shot at Bourne. But Bourne wasn't showing up, leaving Old White in a daze. Suddenly, fire alarms blared throughout nearby buildings. Bourne had just detonated a bomb had planted on the KTV. In an instant, the previously empty Paddington Square was teeming with people bursting out of cover, like a scene from a riot. At that time, Bourne blended into the crowd, quickly took Old White away, leaving the killer to rush to shoot. Meanwhile, Heather led his crew to the square, eyes scanning for Bourne, who had just nabbed Old White. They exchanged glances, but were drowned in chaos. Old White stayed mum under Dewey's pressure. Frustrated, Bourne had no choice but to haul Old White up to the rooftop, forcing him to spill the beans. He said Shane might want to get close to me, but if this is his master plan, why isn't he accepting me? Bourne mused, Shane will come after me, but if this is his plan, why hasn't he accepted me? He told me Shane might approach me in the future, but why hasn't he accepted me? Old White was left confused on the sidelines as Bourne, filled with rage, pressed on. Why hasn't he accepted me? Your father, he's in action and doesn't know we chose you. When he realized, he refused to reveal the plan, not wanting you to become a killer. Who did him in? Stop right there. Where is he? He's on his way. At that moment, Bourne noticed Old White sporting headphones. At that moment, the hitman traced the signal to the rooftop, and Bourne realized this was his killer. In a panic, Bourne clutched Old White's lifeless body and plummeted down, crashing into the wall of the electrical room. The hitman thought Bourne was dead and hurried downstairs, only to find Bourne vanished without a trace. Not only that, Bourne had eavesdropped on the hitman's conversation with Dewey, and now he knew what was brewing. It might just give him the upper hand to strike back. Off to the airport to deal with Silver. Meanwhile, Heather, cruising along the river looking for leads, happened to drive by. As he pulled over to listen to his subordinate's report, Bourne took the initiative, directly seizing Heather and demanding to know Dewey's next move. And what's the true deal with the Iron Hand plan? Heather informed him he was heading to Vegas to meet Zach, where the Iron Hand plan was all about global surveillance through the web. Zach was the key to realizing this plan. Let me out, I can help you get there. Why would you do this? We have our reasons, but we both just want to escape this predicament. Heather offered up his phone, which could help Bourne locate Dewey. Bourne jumped out of the car and bolted. Not looking a day later, Heather played with Bourne's passport access and smoothly got him back to the US.